What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Processing Blue, where, yes, we process blue for you. I'm Alex Zietlow, a Carolina Panthers beat reporter for the Charlotte Observer, and today I'm joined by our indelible sports columnist, Scott Fowler. What's up, Scott?
Hello, Alex. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, not sure if you heard, but the Super Bowl runs through North Carolina this year. You got you got Charlotte area native Drake Maye as the quarterback of the New England Patriots, obviously, and the Patriots are going up against the once Carolina Panthers castaway quarterback Sam Darnold of the Seattle Seahawks. Scott, I understand that the NFL churns a lot, and there are a lot of connections to a lot of different teams and places and what have you. But when you actually go through the list of all the connections between Charlotte and the Super Bowl and the Carolina Panthers and this matchup in the Super Bowl, it feels uniquely molded by North Carolina, or at least more so than usual. Would you agree with that, or is that just kind of, or am I kind of hyperbolizing this?
Well, no, I think that's true. I mean, this one's unusual. There are always a handful of connections. If you look deep enough, there's always 5 assistants that at one point had a cup of coffee with the Panthers or, went to Elon or UNC or something. But this one's unique in that the 2 quarterbacks have such very deep connections to the Panthers. I mean, the Panthers could have Sam Darnold as their quarterback right now if they had wanted to, basically. They never had a chance at Drake, but that was Drake's dream growing up. I mean, the Mays had season tickets to Bank of America Stadium for years. There's a lot of pictures of them online now of, watching Panthers games. Drake's favorite player was Cam Newton, and he grew up about 10 miles from where I'm sitting right now with, of course, a very famous family, the last of 4 brothers. And so that's unusual. Plus, Drake's center, Bradbury, is from Charlotte Christian and, will start in the Super Bowl. That's another pretty deep connection. And there's a number more. Chaz Surratt, who grew up about 10 miles the other direction from me, is a special teamer for the Seahawks and once was a parade All-American quarterback, and since then has converted to linebacker. There's a lot. It's unusual year for sure.
Yeah. 26 players and coaches. Of course, Mike K put together our list, and Mike, being the thorough guy that he is, he had to include the senior defensive assistant, Ben McAdoo.
Right. That's a little easy. I don't go that deep, maybe, but it was nice to have such a thorough list for sure.
No, but check out this list. Obviously, you mentioned Drake Maye, center Garrett Bradbury. Then you got Mac Hollins, who was a really good receiver for North Carolina back when the Tar Heels weren't as, I can't really say good, I guess, in the news as much as they are now. You got Jared Wilson. You got outside linebacker Kaylavon Chason, who I know really flashed in that conference championship game, Scott. You got Harold Landry, John Giles, John Saunders Jr., Marcellus Dial. Oh, now I've committed to.
No, you're going into absolute nowhere land now. But those first 5 or 6, yes. I mean, Mac Hollins was a good player, and of course Chason. I mean, that's a really weird situation that they had him here in 2024 as a veteran free agent, signed him in March and cut him before week 1. I still would like to know more about what went on there, because here's a guy who had 7.5 sacks this year. And not just that. I mean, he's playing. I saw him in coverage in that championship game, for the Patriots is who he plays for. And I mean, he's a stud, and they always can't get a pass rush here. 7.5 would have easily led this team, if he had managed to stay here and put up those numbers. So I don't know what happened there. But that's the kind of player they want to find in this year's free agency, and he might get him a Super Bowl ring February 8th.
Yeah, it is also one final thing when looking at this list. It is kind of interesting to look at it and see some sliding doors moments. Nick Emanwari out of South Carolina, he was someone that the Panthers were really high on. They end up taking 2 pass rushers in the 2nd and 3rd rounds, and then wait until the 4th round to pick up Lathan Ransom. So they're good at the safety spot, but Eamon Wari is someone who, well, I guess he was a first round selection, but he was kind of later, obviously. And then and then this guy's not really a sliding doors moment, but Robbie Oots, fullback out of Rock Hill, South Carolina. He went to Alabama. I covered him while I was at the Rock Hill Herald. So that's always good. A rookie from Rock Hill in the big game. Really, really nice. But okay, so while I was putting together this list, Scott, and I'm really glad that you're able to talk with us as our resident historian, sports historian of the Charlotte area. I was putting together this list, and there was a conversation burgeoning online. I think it was started actually by our colleague Langston Wirtz about who is the best Charlotte area sports family, because as every time Drake Maye has a massive game or some sort of great performance, there's a discussion about his family, because obviously his father, Mark, was one of the best football prospects to come out of Charlotte. His mother, Amy, was a really good high school basketball player here. Luke, the Tar Heel legend who won a national championship for Roy Williams, but also hit that amazing shot in the Elite Eight against Kentucky. Learned all about that, was in school when he hit that shot. That was crazy. Cole and Bo were also really important. His two other brothers, Drake's two other brothers, were also really high-end athletes. And so you talk here all about this family, and I think it prompts the conversation, like, where does the Maye family stack up when you talk about the best Charlotte sports families in the city's history? So I got a couple. You and I kind of collaborated on a list, and I want to just like very briefly rank them. It doesn't have to be like a solid ranking, everyone. And if you have other opinions, people listening, please let us know. But okay, here's some families that I thought of. Obviously, the Maye family, the Curry family. That's Dell, Steph, Seth. The Earnhardt family of NASCAR, the Ric Flair family, the Seeger family, get some baseball in there, the Jones family, as in Daniel Jones, and then the Cockrells, who is that's Anna Cockrell, who's a very famous Olympian from the area. Scott, what do you think about those families? Where would you put them if you had to rank them? Maybe we can have a fun conversation out of this.
Yeah, putting together that list with you, it just reminds you how many of these families there are. It's really stunning in a way that many, multiple sport families. Really good argument for a lot of these folks. And I guess really for me, I would put right now the Curry family number one and the Maye family number two. And then there'd be a lot of people in the contention really for the bronze medal, kind of depending on what sports you like. The reason being that in that 1 versus 2 right now, and you can weigh in on this too, Alex, but Dell was, one of the top 5 Hornets players in history, still second in scoring. Steph, though, is the real reason there, I suppose, in that you could argue he's going to be on the Mount Rushmore of the entire NBA at some point, at least maybe, because he really changed the game. He changed the game into this freewheeling 3-point shooting, for better, for worse, whatever you think about that. Teams taking 40 3-pointers a game. That's all Steph. That's where he changed it in the way that the forward pass, changed football. It was just a monumental shift. And so that's probably, Seth, of course, is an NBA player, and their sister, Seidel, was a good volleyball player too at Elon. But I think it's because of Steph really that I would put them at 1. The Maye family, and the mom's name is pronounced Amay, by the way. So it's Amay May. That's a little bit of a tongue twister, but that's her name. And May was a really good, don't discount her. She was a really good high school basketball player. Could have played in college, just didn't really want to. Went to UNC instead, where she met Mark ultimately. But they get points for multiple sports. Cole was a baseball pitcher, a really good college baseball pitcher, won a national championship at Florida. Luke, of course, you mentioned. And then Mark was, I think he would have had an NFL career if not for tearing up his shoulder. I was in school so long ago that I covered Mark for the Daily Tar Heel when I was at UNC at the same time as he was. Wrote some stories about Mark way back then. And he was a good college quarterback too, even with that shoulder injury, but he never quite came back from it. So I would put the Mays second. But if Drake, wins a Super Bowl title in a couple of weeks and then becomes, he's only 23. What if he wins 3 in the next 10 years or something? He could. We'd have to revisit this conversation. But where would you stack these up?
That's a really good point. It is kind of interesting how we value the Super Bowl, because like the moment you're a Super Bowl winner, you're kind of put in eternal glory. In many ways, I would agree with you. I'm gonna go Curry number 1, the Curry family number 1, for all the reasons that you said about Steph changing the geometry of basketball. Also, Dell is about to get his jersey retired in Spectrum Center. But I'm going to go the Earnhardt family number 2. This is the if not the number 1 family in all of American stock car racing. You could argue that it's the Pettys, with Richard Petty being the king and all these things. But I still think in today's world of NASCAR, the Earnhardt families, like Dale Earnhardt's shadow, is still over this sport. In many ways. His death in the 2001 Daytona 500 is still talked about year in, year out. It's inescapable. And Dale Jr., even though he's no longer driving, is still the most popular figure in all of NASCAR. So, and then you can't discount all that Dale Jr.'s sister Kelly has done for the sport of stock car racing. You can't discount what Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s father Ralph did for stock car racing and all these things. So I would go the Earnhardt family too. We can talk about the Seager family. Corey Seager I'm not as fluent in the baseball realm, but I know that Corey Kyle had really good.
Yeah, Corey was an MVP.
Okay,
yeah,
but those two had really good MLB.
that's right. Yeah.
MLB careers. And then Justin Seager also played baseball for UNC Charlotte, is having a minor league career. So like in an ESPN article in 2016, they called them the MLB's first burgeoning family and stuff like this. So
and the Jones too. If people don't know about the Jones, Daniel Jones, of course, was a great quarterback at Duke, and a big time quarterback this year. Would have made the playoffs if not. He got a terrible injury in Indianapolis. But every one of those 4 siblings with the Jones family played D1 sports. Ruthie Jones was a great goalkeeper at Duke. They all either played for Duke or Davidson. And in Bates Jones' case, he played for both as a basketball player, first at Davidson, and then he transferred to Duke. But they're not like probably they don't they're not as well publicized. Partly that's by design. But they're the Joneses, the Cockrells. Ross Cockrell played here for the Panthers for a while, and Anna Cockrell is, when you talk about Olympian athletes from Charlotte, on a very short list of, studs there. So there really are, and the Earnhardts. I mean, I love the Earnhardts, of course, and it's a good selection at number 2. And we're just talking about Charlotte area. I mean, we're not even verging into like Level Cross and the Pettys and all over North Carolina of all these other. It's an amazing sort of list that you can have, Currys, Mays, and Earnhardts all really from this area, and makes you realize we're kind of lucky to live where we do.
Yeah, no, 100%. Also, I'm not sure if you mentioned, I just realized, May's father, aka Drake's maternal grandfather, was this dude named Ed Sockwell, and according to Langston, he was the godfather. The so-called godfather of North Carolina AAU basketball. So
yeah, the Stockwells are big into AAU, and of course, May. Yeah, that was her maiden name, and I've met some of their family too, and they're, And they're all, and I'll say this too about all the top, all of them really we're talking about here. Man, humble, self-deprecating, I mean, you run into one person after another who would say, May and Mark, wow, these kids you raise, they're great athletes, but better people. And same with the Currys. And, I know we both love Dale Jr. and how he'll make fun of himself in a heartbeat. Just a great quality. You see that. I like to think that's not a coincidence that you see that among the very best of the best so often.
Yeah, it's the Charlotte way, man. Another guy who is. Let's move on. Let's do some more Panthers stuff. That was fun. But another guy who is pretty self-deprecating, or maybe not self-deprecating, but a little bit modest when it comes to his abilities, is Luke Kuechly. And ahead of the Super Bowl, the NFL honors will take place on that Saturday prior to the game, February 5. And during that broadcast, the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026 will be announced, and Luke Kuechly is obviously on the ballot. What else is there to say about him? Inside linebacker, played for the Panthers from 2012 to 2019, 7-time All-Pro selection. Scott, let me just pass the ball to you. Do you think that Luke's getting in this year?
I do, Alex, but it is not a slam dunk. And I won't get too far in the weeds on this. But I thought Luke should have and really needed to get in on his first ballot, which was last year. And he didn't. He became a finalist. He was in the final 7 or something, I believe, of the modern era players, of which only 5 can be selected. And many times nowadays, because of this convoluted formula they've gone to, only 3 often get in out of the modern era. And that's hard to be one of 3. And there's other categories, senior categories, coaching. Bill Belichick will be in this year and be in a separate category. But I do believe, the only thing that works against Luke was that his career was only 8 years long. He retired early, some injury related reasons for that, but he was at the top of his game. 7 All-Pros, that's hard to make. Now, that's not the Pro Bowl. So All-Pro is just you're picking 1 at each position. He was the best there was as a middle linebacker for really 7 of 8 years. In the 8th year, he was a rookie, and he was the Defensive Rookie of the Year. So he played at an incredibly high level. It's just a matter of time, but I do think this is the year for Luke. Just kind of reading the tea leaves and who else is, in this class, would be in this class. I think he'll make it, but again, he doesn't know for sure. And we don't know for sure. It's 50 people doing the voting, and even they don't know for sure. They know who they voted for, but the results aren't announced, as you said, until Thursday night, February 5th. Thursday, February 5th is when we're going to know, 3 days before the Super Bowl. What do you think about Luke's candidacy?
Thank you for very politely correcting me for saying Saturday, February 5th. See, that's the Charlotte way right there. You very politely but very assertively say, "Hey, you're wrong." Okay. Sorry about that, Scott.
That's good. Now, correction means that you can now. People are definitely going to remember it's February 5th, Thursday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very good point. The thing that I keep coming back to when I think of Luke Kuechly's candidacy is Patrick Willis. Luke and Patrick Willis got into the Hall of Fame in 2024, the same year that Julius Peppers did. And Patrick and Luke were essentially, in many ways, the same player.
Luke was a little better, but yes, you're right. Similar accolades. Yes.
Well, similar accolades, similar statistically. Both had 7 Pro Bowls. Both were Defensive Rookies of the Year. Both played 8 seasons. Luke got Defensive Player of the Year 1 year while Willis didn't. Willis's sack number was much higher than Luke's. Meanwhile, Luke had many more interceptions and was much better in coverage than Willis was. Actually, in fact, we asked Patrick a couple years ago, like right after he got in, if Luke will one day be in the Hall of Fame. He said, "Oh yeah, it's just a matter of time." And so the question is, when will that time come? Now you might be thinking, yo, like it's semantics. Who cares about when players get in? It's all about if they're worthy and all these things. Well, literally the Pro Football Hall of Fame is a semantics thing. Like that is something that the committee takes into consideration very heavily. Patrick waited 5 years of eligibility to get in. Meanwhile, if Luke got in this year, he would have only waited 2. So I wouldn't be super surprised if Luke's nomination gets pushed off to another year. Though, all that said, he is very much deserving. And like you said, he did have a tiny bit better of a career, at least statistically, than Patrick Willis did. But like their statistics are the same. And obviously, as we've talked about ad nauseum, it's all about the class, the other guys that you're competing with for the limited spots in the modern era class. And talk about limited spots, Scott. There are 2 guys in particular, Torrey Holt and Steve Smith. One is now a finalist, and one was omitted after being a finalist last year. Dude, this wide receiver group it's just going to be so hard to get into the Hall of Fame, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's I've talked with Torrey Holt about this. NC State, for those who remember, it was incredible. One of the best players ever at NC State. One time he scored 5 touchdowns in a single college game. 5 in one game against Florida State, too. We're not talking about scoring him against the D3 opponent. But Torrey Holt was, put it this way. Torrey Holt had about 7 years better than what TMac had this year. So, TMac had a really good season. Well, Torrey Holt did that 7 times, but better. That's how good he was. Now, he did have Kurt Warner throwing to him and an incredible offense to go around him. But still, I'm surprised he hasn't made it yet. But the wide receiver thing is so hard because really you're only going to get one in a year. And, they stair step it so that it's like you wait and wait and wait. Torrey Holt's been a finalist for I don't know, 9 or 10 years, something like that. It's been a long time. And then I think Larry Fitzgerald is this year. So there's, Fitzgerald he's a slam dunk. He's going to go in. So again, the Torrey Holt may have to wait because, you have to probably only get one in a year. And so that's pushed Steve down the rungs a little bit. And that's why Steve Smith, I don't know if he'll ever get in, honestly. He might. But it's going to be a while. He's got to wait his turn. I think he should. I think he had, I've on record saying I think he's the best Panther player of all time. Not the most iconic. That would be Cam. And you could definitely make an argument for Luke and Julius and all that. But Steve Smith was here so long, 13 years, incredible player. I think he should get in there. But again, it is a numbers game. And so he's not going to be in for a while. Steve Smith is going to have to wait. Yeah. Torrey Holt probably too. Torrey Holt's probably going to go in before Steve Smith, but I don't really think it'll be this year.
It's such an interesting puzzle piece because if you look at Andre Johnson versus Steve Smith numbers, they're Steve Smith is better statistically. Yeah. But of course, that's not the only considerations the committee makes. All these things. We could talk about this probably forever, but okay. I'm glad that you think that Luke will get in this year. Should be fun to watch on that Thursday, February 1st.
Right. And we'll also figure out whether TMac gets the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Very same night, very same NFL honors ceremony.
Yeah. Do you want to do that real quick? We have litigated this ad nauseum, but do you think Tetairoa McMillan is Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Seems like he will be. Yeah, he's one kind of like, where you don't know if you're going to win the Oscar for sure, but if you win the Golden Globes or the, all those other awards in award seasons, you probably are. Well, TMac has been winning those. He won the Pro Football Writers Association overall Rookie of the Year as well as Offensive Rookie of the Year, I think. And I voted for him in both of those. You probably did as well. And I think he's Tyler Shuck is a legitimate contender for sure, but he just didn't probably play enough. So I think he didn't start until the last 7 or 8 games. So I think it'll be TMac.
Yeah. And then you look at his receiving numbers, most receiving yards among all rookies, broke a Panthers rookie franchise record. Yeah, he is the guy that stirs the Panthers' offensive drink, and I think that he gets that nod. Anything to say? Another Panther? Anything to say about Austin Corbett and his Walter Payton Man of the Year nomination?
Well, he's absolutely deserving of being nominated. That is an incredibly hard award to win. I mean, there's 32. It's not like, you're picking between 5 guys or something. So, I don't think Austin Corbett's chances are great there. Be happy to be surprised. He's done some wonderful work, as have 31 other people. So it's sometimes that is honestly a popularity and name recognition contest a little bit. I remember the one year I was sure Greg Olson would win it. I mean, I think his work would stand up among any NFL player almost ever in terms of charity work. And instead, he made the final 3 and didn't because, I don't know, they gave it to Eli Manning and somebody else. I can't remember whom. And not that Eli Manning, I'm sure he did wonderful work too. But I really thought at the time they were giving it more to quarterbacks than to Greg. But in any case, what do you think about Austin?
Yeah, no, Thomas Davis, the only Panther to ever win Walter Payton Man of the Year. It's hard to have a discussion about because I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what all 32 nominees have done for their respective communities, but I just know that Austin's done a lot of really good in this community. And so just being nominated is an honor in and of itself. Okay, Scott, almost out of here. But before we do, I want to do a quick lightning round with you of these NFL honors. Let's talk about MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. Blah, blah, blah. Are you amenable to this?
Yeah. Yep. We'll do it quick. Lightning round.
Who's your MVP?
As much as I'd love to give it to Drake, and I thought maybe mid-year he would get it, I think you have to go Matthew Stafford. I think he was the best. Seen it up close twice. Man, he had a fantastic year. So I'd go with Stafford. You?
I would go with Stafford too, but why? Like, the fact that this is just a quarterback award now is kind of annoying. Christian McCaffrey had a crazy year, like a nuts year. And he kind of kept the 49ers afloat while they were figuring things out with Brock Purdy hurt and all these things. So
he will win. He's going to win Comeback Player of the Year, though. So at least he will be there and win a big award for sure.
Defensive Player of the Year.
Got to be Myles Garrett.
Yep.
All-time sack leader. I mean, you just can't have a better season than that.
I agree. Offensive Player of the Year.
I think you got to give that one to JSN. McCaffrey's a good candidate too, but I think JSN, my goodness, what a receiver. And just Turbin, what an incredible year. I mean, that guy, you throw it anywhere within 12 feet of him, it feels like he comes down with it. He's the sort of receiver that changes the franchise. And I think that's part of the reason why Sam Darnold's had a great year. So yeah, JSN.
I'm going to go CMC here because I've already talked about it.
Yeah. No, he's great.
Okay, so we're going Offensive Rookie of the Year, Tedero McMillan, right?
Yep.
And then let's do Defensive Rookie of the Year. This is kind of interesting. You got Abdul Carter of the Giants, Nick Emanwari, as we've talked about, South Carolina Gamecocks stand up, James Pierce Jr., some Charlotte love, although he's with the Atlanta Falcons now, had a really good year as a pass rusher. And then you got Browns linebacker Carson Schwessinger and Xavier Watts. Who you got, Scott?
I'm going with the Browns linebacker. I honestly don't know as much about this award, but if you look at his stats, they were really good.
Coach of the Year.
So who are you going with? You didn't say. Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah, of course. My bad. Let's go James Pierce Jr.
Okay.
Let's have some fun. I think I think you're probably right about the linebackers, but the thing is with these inside linebackers, like they have such, like their tackle numbers are just so much more than everybody. But the way that James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker had just like really good years on the outside was quite. It was pretty was pretty good. Okay, let's talk about Coach of the Year. Liam Cohen, Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald over in Seattle, Kyle Shanahan, Mike Vrabel. All pretty good candidates. I'm gonna go first here, and I'll go Mike Vrabel because I wanted to snatch the obvious one from the jaws of defeat. Scott, who do you got?
I'm going to go Mike McDonald. So the two Mikes that are meeting in the Super Bowl, I'll take the other one because I think ultimately he is going to win the Super Bowl this year, and they've been, they weren't as long of a long shot as the Patriots for sure, but nobody was really favoring Seattle to go where they've gone this year either. So I'll go with McDonald.
And I didn't have comeback player of the year listed on this thing because I guess I just didn't prepare well enough. But we can probably both say it's.
Yeah, I think that's Christian. It's really a comeback from an injury. It's, so it's kind of typically, Joe Burrow wins it like every other year because he's always coming back from injury. But this year is Christian's turn.
Okay. And then I also, for some reason, I also have assistant coach of the year.
Oh, yes. I'll just let you choose. Wherever you pick, I'll also just join in with you. In fact, let's just skip that one. On to the Super Bowl prediction.
Yeah, you got. Oh my gosh, you're making me laugh. I would go Josh McDaniels, Patriots offensive coordinator. The way that he managed that game.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, that was really cool. And he has ushered in, Drake Maye's greatness, Travion Henderson, great rookie. Okay, that's enough talking about assistant coaches for Scott. All right,
you have do that with Mike K. He'll go 15 minutes with you on assistant coaches. He loves assistant coaches.
Okay, Scott, who's your Super Bowl pick?
Super Bowl pick. As I said, hinted at it a second ago, I think Mike McDonald will be the coach of the year because I think Seattle will win the Super Bowl. It is going to be a really tight game. I think we're going to see a really, I don't see either one of them running away with it. But Seattle to me is just slightly better on both sides of the ball. And, maybe win by a field goal or something. But I think Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl, the former Panther quarterback. Who's your pick, Alex?
It's crazy because when the Panthers played the Seattle Seahawks and lost pretty handedly, it wasn't as bad as the score indicated, perhaps, because the Panthers did hang in there for a while. But afterward, you said that the Panthers actually did play quite well. The Seahawks are going to be in the Super Bowl this year. And I remember hearing that and being like, that's wildly confident for after what we just watched, after seeing Sam Darnold, who has had really good regular seasons in the past and kind of folded like later on in the postseason. And then, of course, Sam has one of his best games ever as an NFL quarterback in the conference championship game. So that was pretty cool to see. So good on you for that prediction, Scott. I'm going to go with the Patriots because I believe in destiny and North Carolina and Charlotte, and I care about this state, Scott. And I just think in some ways I do think that this season is ordained with when you talk about this Patriots year. They are actually explosive on offense. I know they didn't really show it against the Broncos in that hail and sleet and snowstorm. But they are a really balanced offense, and that defense is just is maybe not as good as the Seahawks, but as Sean McVay and his offense showed last week, they are vulnerable, particularly when you get them, on these draw plays and you keep them on their feet. Really balanced offenses can do some damage against this Seahawks defense. So I am going with the Patriots. Scott, we talked about a lot here, and which is pretty cool considering that there's not much going on in Panthers world. Is there anything else we need to talk about before we wrap up and get on out of here?
No, nothing else. We just wish our best to our colleague Mike K, who's been stuck in the DFW airport for a day or so, I think. But by the time you're listening to this, hopefully Mike K is home, and I think he'll be rejoining this podcast next week.
Absolutely. Can't wait to have Mike back. Thanks, as always, for listening to our pontifications on all things Panthers. with Scott Fowler and myself and our wonderful producers, Zach Dennis and Emily Broyles. Please subscribe and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts by searching Processing Blue. And if you watch us on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to get notified whenever new episodes drop. And finally, please be sure to stick to charlotteobserver.com for all of your Panthers needs. Scott, stay humble, stay creative, and keep processing.